Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope everybody's having a wonderful afternoon and happy Friday. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the 4-hour chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin had just broken down below 11,500, guys. I believe I told you to look between 11,000 and 11,100 for a nice little bounce. And of course, we did get that bounce. If you took that swing trade, congratulations, guys. If you're still holding on to it, I would suggest increasing your stop loss a little bit. But again, that's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. You do whatever you want to. And as of right now, guys, we're watching to wait and see if Bitcoin can take out this prior swing, local swing high of about 11,850. Let's call it 11,850. If we can start trading above 11,850, I do think that 12,400 becomes in play as a very, very likely next target. Now, of course, that doesn't need to be the case, but I will start to get short-term, very short-term bullish here. But until that does happen, guys, it looks like we may end up trading a range here. By the way, I apologize if you hear lawnmowers in the background, guys. My lawn guy, actually a couple guys out there doing the lawn for us. So again, I do apologize if you do hear that in the background. Anyway, to the downside, guys, I want to see 11,500 hold, really between 11,500 and 11,450. If we look at this overall little microstructure here and we go swing low, swing high, we can see that right there at about 11,000, really about 11,020, which is, or excuse me, not 11,020, sorry guys, that's not what I'm looking at. Looking at the 50 at about 11,450, that is the 50 fib level, guys. That's kind of what it's bouncing off of. It's not really 11,500. I'm using that more as psychological. But yeah, I want to make sure we can stay above that 50 fib level. If that does end up breaking down here for a second time, of course, we're going to very likely come back down to this 11,050 area between 11,000 and 11,100. That is the 618. We are getting a lot of support off that area, and I do, even if we came back down here for a second time, I would not be surprised if that did hold. That being said, guys, the more time you test it, the more of a chance there is to break. And of course, if this area does break down, then we're looking for a very quick drop, very likely down to about 10,650. As we have discussed many times, we can see that that is the area that the bulls defended last time. If we do come back down here and test it a second time here, guys, I don't know that it's going to hold. It might, but it's going to be very, very interesting. And this is the area that really does have to hold. About 10,650 does have to hold. If that does break down, I'm going to start to think we're going to take out this prior low down here and probably create a new local low, probably drop down below. Probably drop down to about the mid 9,000, somewhere there. About 9,400 is what I'd be eyeballing, guys. And you know I've been eyeballing 9,400 for quite some time now. Now we do have, if we're zooming out here on the daily, guys, I know a lot of people are starting to call this a, there we go, let me just draw it out here for you. I know a lot of people are starting to call this a symmetrical triangle, and I can see the argument there. Yeah, I mean, certainly if you're just cutting all the wicks here, guys, yes, and you're just looking at the daily, yes, this does look like we're getting squeezed tighter and tighter within a range. So yeah, I mean, technically you could call that. Now, if I switch out here to the 4-hour, doesn't look quite so pretty. But yeah, if I'm coming back in here on the daily, yeah, it does. So I mean, it's, yes, I guess technically you could call this. I would actually like to see this get tested at least one more time before I would call it a symmetrical triangle. That being said, there's no question we're getting squeezed tighter and tighter. That would suggest a breakout there, guys. Now, of course, a symmetrical triangle could break up, could break down. But what I'm a little more concerned with here is zooming in here to the 4-hour, it does look like we may be starting to paint a potential head and shoulders. Now, again, I'm not saying this is the case, guys, so please don't misunderstand me here. I'm only pointing this out because I want to make sure that you guys have an idea of what to watch for here. Now, you can draw this a couple different ways. I could draw this the left shoulder, this being our body, and then, of course, we'd be in the makings now of a potential right shoulder. And of course, if that did play out, we'd be looking for a drop somewhere down here, guys. And I'll do the measured move here in a minute. Now, you could call this the left shoulder. That's a little bit sloppy. You could also call this the left shoulder, and then a continuation up there for the body. So that's also a potential. Either way, it does look like we are potentially creating a head and shoulder pattern. Again, potentially, I want to stress potentially. That's not there yet. So if we kind of consolidate here sideways and then get a pretty hard dump back down to about that test, that $11,150 zone, I'd be very, very careful. And this is why I say, guys, I don't know that I'd be looking to scalp this if we do come down here and test this again. I do think that if we do consolidate here slightly and then drop back down to test 11,050, I do think that we have a decent chance of breaking down. And the measured move on this would be somewhere around, actually let me get it right on there, It would be somewhere around our $9,400 zone. So we do have a little bit of confluence there, guys. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be watching for. Again, I don't want to spread any FUD, guys. We are not there yet. This has not played out yet. It's just something I kind of want you. I kind of want that to be on your radar, just in case we do end up playing out. That does end up playing out. All right, zooming in on the 4-hour, we can see the 821 55-day EMA all converging on top of one another, as well as the 50 simple, again, all converging on top of one another. And what I don't like about this is we do now have the 8 simple crossing below the 21 and the 8 simple crossing below the 55, and it does look like the 21 simple is going to want to cross below the 55 there as well. If that's the case, we're going to have higher time frames all above the lower time frame, which is a pretty bearish setup. Now, we are only on the 4-hour time frame here, guys. So again, nothing is a certain yet. Again, it's just something that I'm kind of watching here, guys. But the fact that we have come up here, tested this again, this does start to, it does look like it's starting to act as resistance here. Let's wait and see if we can penetrate it. If we can penetrate it, that would be an extremely bullish sign, guys. But if we do reject hard off of this, or we kind of move sideways and then reject, it's going to be a very, very bearish sign, and may indicate much lower prices to come. But again, we are not there yet. In fact, if I come out here to the daily, I can make a very strong case that the bulls are still very much alive. We can see that they have defended the 21-day EMA quite a few times here, guys, which is again a very, very bullish sign. So let's wait and see if this plays out. Now, if we do get a decisive break below the 21-day EMA, then again I'm going to be looking for a drop to at least that $10,650 zone, guys. But more than likely, it's going to be more likely that mid $9,500 zone. And we'll have to wait and see kind of how that plays out. We can see the 55 and the 50 simple are all sitting right here at about 9,800-ish. Not much of a visual support there. So again, let's wait and see if that plays out. Again, I do think a more likely drop would be down around 9,500, 9,400 to be precise. I do think that would be a more likely drop if we do take out $10,650. All right, let's come back and check the weekly. Weekly still does look bullish, guys. Again, certainly an epic struggle between bulls and bears. We can see we've got some very, very long wicks. We can see this did not follow through as of yet with this bearish shooting star on June the 24th, the week of June the 24th. So as of right now, very bullish sign, guys, very bullish looking weekly chart. But again, you know, there is some signs that we may want to have a larger correction here. So let's wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out. Checking longs and shorts, we can see shorts, we had another 60% drop in shorts, guys. We can see they dropped, and again, all by one person, actually dropped about 62%. Again, all by one person there, guys. And, you know, price actually, these shorts fell on yesterday at 800, or excuse me, at 0800 Greenwich Mean Time, guys. And if you look at price at that time, it didn't budge. So I know I've had a lot of people emailing me, asking me how that's possible. I explained to you guys last time when this happened back here on June the 19th, as well as back on, I believe it was what, May the 15th, May the 16th, it happened as well. I explained every one of those times, guys. Bitfinex, and I'll do it very, very quickly. Bitfinex allows people to claim positions rather than close positions, and what that means is they can actually basically claim those positions off the books, and it doesn't affect price. Yes, it's very, very sketchy. No, it does not happen in traditional markets, at least not to my knowledge. And yes, it's extremely sketchy and gives cryptocurrency a bad name. That being said, you know, this is the wild, wild west. It is unregulated, and this is why you get stuff like that, guys. And you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, checking longs versus shorts, we can see that longs are down, shorts are down. Longs are about 4 times what shorts are right now. That is a bearish sign. That would bode well for the bears. That would indicate a potential breakdown. Now, again, that's only one indication. That's only one small piece of a very, very big puzzle. So I don't want to, you know, again, don't take that as gospel. Just look at that as again, the trend is bullish, but we are seeing some bearish signs and potential signs of reversal. So this is why I'm agnostic until we do either break up above. I'm going to remain agnostic until we do either break up above this. Well, if we break up above 12,400, I will start to believe I will get short-term bullish, and that I think we'll take another shot at 13,000. But we do need to get a decisive break above 13,000, really 12,950, a 4-hour open and close above that area before I'll start to get really bullish again and think we may come back out and take out this $13,800 high. To the downside, guys, if we do take out 11,000, my bias will probably shift. Decisive break below 11,000, my bias will probably start to shift bearish. But the line in the sand for me is 10,650. If we do break down below 10,650, then I will get bearish and will believe that we are due for a larger correction. Checking the Bitcoin dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance chart is still very bullish, guys. It may actually want to come back down and correct in the short term. If it does, I'd like to see. I wouldn't actually like to see. I'd like to see it. Again, I don't mean to say like to see. If it does bounce, if we do end up establishing about 66 as a base, as a support, then I do think we're going to bounce and come up much higher. So let's wait and see. But it does look like it may want to come back down and search for a quick area of support before continuing back to the upside. Now, if we do take out about 65.5, then I'm going to be looking for a possible drop back down to about 63-ish, and you may see some altcoins pump. Actually, more than likely, you'll probably just see Bitcoin. Oh, sorry about that. More than likely, you'll probably just see Bitcoin correcting a little bit and altcoins very likely dumping, but we'll have to wait and see kind of how this plays out. Remember, this is a very new market. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up President Donald Trump's tweets. So I know everybody in the world is talking about it, guys, and I've gotten all your emails, so rather than answering everybody individually, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up and we can talk about it. All right, Donald Trump says, I am not a fan of Bitcoin. By the way, this is not going to get political, guys. So this is not a political channel. I am an equal hater of both the left and the right, guys. I despise politicians, guys. I think I'm not a fan. I'm not all of them. I'm not a fan of politics. Let me just put it that way, especially in this current environment at all. That being said, I'm not. This is not going to get political, so please don't misunderstand what I'm doing here. But I am going to address this. I am not a fan of. Donald Trump says I'm not a fan, or President Trump says I'm not a fan of Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air, which is very rich. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. So can cash, obviously. He goes on. Similarly, Facebook's Libra virtual currency will have little standing or dependability. If Facebook and other companies want to become a bank, they must seek a new banking charter and become subject to all banking regulations, just like other banks, both national and international. We have only one real currency in the USA, and it is stronger than ever, both dependable and reliable. It is by far the most dominant currency in the world, and it will always stay that way. It's called the United States dollar. So, again, I've heard most people's comments on this already, and I agree with the overall sentiment. Donald Trump just does not understand cryptocurrency. Now, I don't for 1 second, this based out of thin air. What does he think fiat currency is based on? I mean, we're no longer in the gold standard. I'm not sure. We literally in the United States print, just like in so many other countries, they literally print fiat currency right out of thin air. So I have much more faith in Bitcoin than I do in any government-backed currency, including the United States. Now, he is correct in saying that the United States is the most dependable and reliable coin. I mean, it is the world's reserve currency, so I will agree with him there. That's not me being an arrogant American. Believe me, I criticize the United States and their fiscal policy. We are literally over over $20 trillion in debt. So the United States has absolutely no business lecturing anybody else who is also in debt. Governments do not know how to manage things. They just don't. I don't know when people are going to realize that, but this is why we have cryptocurrency. But so yes, it is, yes, technically, but that being said, we are the reserve currency of the world. So yes, is it dependable and reliable? I mean, as much as a fiat currency can be, I guess so. The most dominant, yes, I guess it could be as well. Is it the most healthy? Well, there you can argue whether or not it's the healthiest, but certainly it's I would say it is the most dependable as of right now. Now, of course, that traditionally, if you all look all throughout history, that doesn't last very long. Typically, that lasts about 80 to 100 years, and then there's another reserve currency, and we're really approaching that. So things may be changing quickly. But the fact that he doesn't understand the way, and I truly don't think he understands how Bitcoin works, and he knows that the U.S. dollar, I mean, he has said in the past numerous times, and I know other analysts have pointed this out, but it is so true. Donald Trump knows that the U.S. dollar is being printed out of thin air. He has to say this as a politician. He has to say this as the president of the United States, just like any other president of any other country would try to say about their currency. Just like Obama said the same thing. thing. Bush said the same thing. Clinton said the same thing. They all say the same thing because, of course, they wanted a strong dollar because they are concerned about their political, their political future. So there's no question he's playing politics here, but he knows. He, as a business person, he knows that that the U.S. dollar is just printed out of thin air like every other government currency happens to be. So unless we're going to go back on the gold standard, which I really hope we do, I really hope we do. I mean, but unless that happens, I mean, this is just a very rich argument. Now, again, I don't say anything. I'm not trying to talk bad about Donald Trump. Every other president has done very similar things, not necessarily regarding Bitcoin, but trying to talk up the U.S. dollar, just like every other country with every other president in the world. I think Donald Trump has done some phenomenal things for business. I also think he says some very stupid things sometimes. So, again, this is not a political statement, but I'll just go ahead and leave it there. I don't want to get in trouble. All right, guys, I'm going to very quickly cover your comments. And for those of you, you may have noticed something strange. I released a video last night, and I've since deleted that video. For those of you that have watched it, you understand. I should not have made the video. I made the video when I was tired and I was very angry, and I should not have made the video. The reason I was angry is because I had somebody actually hack my computer. Now, they didn't get very far in. I've had many attempts at hacking my computer, and you expect that. When you put yourself out there, especially as an analyst, you expect to be a target. So I've expected that. I prepared for that. That I've expected. Now this particular person happened to get through much more than most of the other hackers have, and that it is what it is. I mean, they didn't get anything. It was just a basic MacBook Pro, and there's absolutely nothing on it. I mean, like I said, I've prepared for this. My IT guys prepare for this. It is what it is. People are going to hack, and someone's going to get through. I mean, the funny thing is, they probably spent a lot more time and money trying to get into my computer than anything they found, because they found absolutely an empty computer with just a couple notes on prior videos, on things to talk about in different videos. That's it. That's what they got. The problem is my IT guy tells me that I couldn't. The reason I was so angry is my IT guy tells me that I have to now throw away that computer. And I mean, while it wasn't, I mean, it was just a basic MacBook Pro. It wasn't anything special. It just made me angry, because I try to do something nice, and for people to try to do that, it just makes you very, very angry. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, and I trust my IT guy, he tells me that I just need to throw the computer away because I'm never going to really be able to get it off there. I've had to change my IP address, so I already had to have them come out last night and completely change that. So I've got a new IP address just for this now. I've got two other IP addresses that I use for my more secure things with different computers. But the point is, it was just, I was angry that I had to do that. So I had to go out and buy a new computer last night, which I did do that, which is fine. I'm on the computer now. I'm actually happy because I wanted to get a new MacBook Pro anyway. I mean, the point is, I was just a little bit angry that I had to do that. And this is such a great community, guys. That you guys are so amazing. You actually you saw the video last night. You sent me many emails, and I didn't even know why. I had a flood of emails. I oftentimes get emails from people asking me for private addresses to send donations or tips to the channel to support the channel, because you don't want to use the public addresses that I have here, and I understand why, for privacy reasons, and I always appreciate that. But I didn't understand why I had the flood last night. And then, of course, it dawned on me, and then I've emailed since everybody back. It dawned on me when you guys did send those in that they were much bigger than usual. That you were doing that because you thought that the way I made the video sound last night was probably that I was going out to buy a new computer, and that I needed the money or something for a new computer. I don't know. I'm sure you didn't think that, but for some reason you guys felt the need to do that. And this is why you guys are such an amazing community that you sent that. Now, as you guys know, I've addressed each one of you individually. I've already refunded every single one of your tips, because I'm not a charity. If you want to send me a tip to support the channel and say thank you, that's one thing. But if you're sending me a tip to buy a new computer for charity, I'm not a charity, guys. I don't need the money. But I don't mean to sound ungrateful, because I'm not. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, as I explained to every single one of those guys. You guys are amazing. I mean, it's a small community, but you guys are an amazing community. And I'm going to wrap this up. I know this is not why you're here, but my point in all of this is saying thank you very much. And I apologize for those of you that heard the video last night. I do not want this to be a negative channel at all. So I'm going to quickly address some of your comments here that I addressed last night in the thing. It's going to be very, very quick, guys. It's not going to be quick, because I am trying to get out the door here. So let me just quickly try to get through. Ben Kalman says, would love to hear your take on EOS again. It absolutely got crushed. Thanks as always. So let's look at EOS. All right, very quickly looking at EOS, guys. EOS, and these are the same support and resistance levels I've had for the last few months. They have not changed. We can see EOS came down, did test this major area of support we have down here between 450 and 427. Pardon me. And if we go swing low, swing high, you can see that that happens to line up very, very nicely with the 618, literally almost to the dollar, bouncing right off that golden pocket. So we would expect this to act as a very decent support in the short term here. Actually, let me pull up the. Well, that's not what I wanted. In the short term here, it is showing a little bit of. It is showing a little bit of bullish divergence on the daily MACD. Wouldn't be surprised if we come up here, test maybe right around the 50, which sits at about $5, really about 510. I'd need to see price break up above 510 decisively on a 4-hour open and close above 510. If that did happen, I'd be temporarily bullish on EOS, and I think it would want to come up here and test about $6. But we got to clear 510 first. It does look like it may want to come up and test that 510. If it rejects, I think we're going to come back down, retest this zone down here. I do believe this does hold if we get a second test. I do think we'd get a second bounce off this area. This is a very, very strong support. That being said, if it bounces a couple times and finally ends up breaking, if this does break down, it's very likely going to break down to about very likely going to break down to this 350 area, and I do have a lot of buy orders sitting down here right around 350, actually at about 355. Because I'm a smart trader and we want to get an early right, we're not going to do that even number at 350. So 355 is where my buy orders sit, and I will likely get in if we do end up breaking down. But that's a big if. That's a very strong support between 450 and 427, and as of right now, it does not look like it's going to break, at least in the next few hours or anytime soon. If it does have a second test, it'll be very telling to see how it ends up reacting. Pulling out on the weekly, it confirms that, guys, we are at a make or break point. Either this support is going to break and we're coming down here to 350 very, very quickly, or this thing is going to end up. We may get a second double tap here. It may end up bouncing, and then of course we're going to be looking at a testing of that $6 range. All right, Todd Callison, and again, I'm cherry picking your comments here, guys, because I'm in a big hurry. Todd Callison says, working great videos. The Tether issue is not the BTC would be hard pressed without it. The issue is that Tether has been apparently printing coins out of thin air and pumping BTC with monopoly money. If that weren't bad enough, we would have the possible takedown of Tether by the New York Attorney General. All those Tethers would go poof, and a huge dump incoming for BTC. Multiply all the FUD this would create, and you have a long, long winter after Armageddon dump of crypto. Most Bitcoiners, and especially Moon Boys, take the attitude of out of sight, out of mind. And yet, I mean, you do have a valid point. Tether can certainly be tied to the rise and fall of BTC a lot of times, but I do think that we're in a little bit of a different position here. First of all, I don't think Tether is going to go under by the New York Attorney General. Yes, that would be bad for Bitcoin if it did happen, at least short term, but I don't see that happening. I truly, truly don't. We saw that Bitfinex paid back that money. We did see that Tether is slowly but surely starting to get a little more transparent, and by the time they actually do allow a real audit, I'm sure they're going to have their books in order. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that I don't like Tether. Believe me, I don't like Tether. I think they're extremely sketchy, but I do think that it's going to survive. And even if it didn't, we have to remember, guys, we have to have perspective. We do have a lot of other stable coins on the market right now. Tether is just one of those stable coins. It's not like it used to be. Yes, it's the most popular, but as soon as that, if that were to go poof tomorrow, it's not like people wouldn't have a stable coin to transfer into. They would just transfer more than likely right back into USD coin, which is, True USD, which is sitting down here at number 38 in market cap, guys. So I mean, that's just screaming for Tether to go under and for that to take over its business. Tether sits at about 3.8 on the market cap. Total market cap of cryptocurrency is 317 billion. Total market cap of Bitcoin is 206 billion as of today. So even if, I mean, we're looking at maybe a 1.5% drop from the total market cap, and I just don't see that. I don't see that being that big of a deal. I really, really don't. Again, short term, yes, because it's going to trigger a domino effect via FUD, and for all those reasons that you point out. Long term, I just don't see it. I think that institutional money is going to want to get in. If it does drop, I do think that we come down, possibly down to maybe as low as 7,000, maybe 6,500 would be about the bottom, and then I would expect a very, very nice bounce off of that zone. But that would be my impression if Tether were to just go poof. Maybe a little bit lower, but I do think it would correct a lot quicker than you guys think. I do believe it. Now, I could be wrong on that. I could absolutely be wrong on that, guys. This is just pure speculation in an extremely new market that, truth be told, nobody has any idea what would actually happen, because the past just because certain things have happened in the past, it's not indicative of what's going to happen in the future. Yes, sometimes the past does rhyme, but again, things have changed so much fundamentally. It's a different market. Tether is not the only player anymore. But anyway, it's a very fair point, Todd, and I appreciate your contribution to the channel, man. And you're right, and I could be wrong on that, and you could be completely right. So we'll have to wait and see if it does end up playing out. You bring up a valid point. I didn't mean to sound like I was getting on you because I'm not, and I really appreciate your comment. Nikolai K, always appreciate you dropping by, Nikolai. And again, I'm sorry I'm rushing through this, guys. I'm really, really sorry I'm rushing through this. All right, Jay, and I answered this in the prior video, but again, for those, I already deleted it, guys, for reasons I already talked about, so I'm going to go ahead and do this again. JH says, hey, mate, thank you. I've learned a lot from your videos. I'd be happy if you could take a look at ETH to Bitcoin, so let me go ahead and quickly look at ETH to Bitcoin, just in case we missed it last night, and I feel bad I made it and then deleted it. But there it is. All right, so here we're looking at Ethereum to Bitcoin, guys. This is on Coinbase, and this does not look like a great chart at all, as you guys can probably decipher here by looking at it. It does look to me like we are very likely looking at a excuse me, a descending triangle. If we come over here, we can see that that is very, very likely playing out right here, guys. We can see that we do have a nice base here. This was acting as resistance back in 2016, turned into support basically all throughout the bear market here, guys, and never did turn around. It does look like we're reaching an apex here where it wants to break out, and it does look like it may want to end up breaking to the downside here. Let's wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out. We are actually hitting the low of the prior low that was set back here in December of 2017. And if I go swing low, swing high, we can see, if we get to the swing low, actually, there we go. We can see that we're bouncing very, very close to that 8865. In fact, we just kind of broke below it here, guys. So unless this gets picked up very, very quickly, now remember, we're looking at a weekly, so I can accept a wick below here, guys. But if this thing breaks out much further, then I think we're looking for a drop down to about 0.019, at least, not 0.0194, somewhere thereabouts. If that does break down, guys, then it could get very, very ugly. Then we're looking for a drop down to about 0.012, somewhere thereabouts, not 0.011, not 0.012, somewhere thereabouts, guys. A fairly significant drop if that not 0.019, actually it's more like 0.002. 0.02 would be the next stop. If that breaks down, then of course we're looking for that drop down to about 0.01, 0.12, 0.11, somewhere thereabouts, guys. So not looking great. Are reaching apex. Now remember, this is a descending triangle, so it does have about a 25% chance of breaking to the upside here, 25-30% chance of breaking to the upside. If it does break to the upside, I do think it's going to need to clear about 0.032. If it clears 0.032, then it has a whole lot of room to run, guys. A whole lot of room to run. But until that is cleared, guys, it's probably going to just trade a range. Even if it does break up here, we'll have to wait and see kind of how this plays out. Certainly looks like we're going to get resolution here, at least in the next 2 weeks, though. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, appreciate an upvote. If you have enjoyed this content, please remember to subscribe, like, and hit that notification button in the bottom, or the bell, actually, notification bell in the bottom right-hand corner. Till next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.